Dear Border War fans, warm welcome from my side on our second Border War MILSIM podcast. I am happy to be here again. We have received plenty of questions from players. Thank you very much for it. So let's have a look on it, what we have here for this second podcast. So first question we have here is, how big is the organizational team? To answer it properly, we have organization team split into, let's say, two groups. The first one is a core team, which has around 40 people, and as well we have a group of volunteers which are joining us to support us. Of course, we are having plenty of volunteer positions, so whoever wants to join or is interested, don't hesitate to contact us. But in terms of, let's say, the professional crew itself, we have 40 people at this stage. The second question touching the organization is how long does it take to create one Border War edition? So that's a very good question. So for your imagination, in order to make a new edition of Border War MILSIM, it requires almost a year of work, because once you finish one event, you have to close it up, wrap everything, and then you have to start slowly planning the new one, get the date, get the area, get things done, prepare the registration. It really takes many hours, which are dedicated for preparation. And sometimes people ask how difficult it is. Well, I would say it's not difficult, but you have to manage 1,000 tasks to done the right way, and if you don't omit anything, then you are ready. A French airsoft player is asking in his question whether every scenario is the same. So definitely it's not, and I tell you reason why. We always prepare the event from the first edition that we wanted to be special and different to the other. We have, let's say, certain areas of scenarios, whether it's more like Asian Pacific area or, let's say, Southern and Central America's scenario. Like, all scenarios are fully fictional. Of course, it's based on some let's say, real situations. We read plenty of books and watch plenty of movies, but we are not doing reenactment scenarios. We are working on, let's say, fictional scenarios where all players can join various game sites based upon their feel and needs. Like, even each game site is structured a bit differently, and you will have a different game feel while joining it. For example, it's also connected to the next question, is like, how is the game structure? So we have at this stage like 3 major game sites. One is like, let's say, rebel forces, which represent all these freedom fighters and guerrillas and all this, let's say, revolutionary groups, which have completely different missions than the governmental forces represented by the task force units, which are more, let's say, representing structured military approach. As well, we have a PMC fraction, which is a fraction which is having more LARP in it by nature. That means live action role playing is integrated in their missions, whether they interact with different game sites, or they are being paid for various contracts, or they are, let's say, more actively interfering with the game site which is focusing on civilians. We have a village. In the village we have, let's say, local inhabitants. Every scenario have let's say, different tastes. So the village is different. There is plenty of fun. There is a lot of LARP missions, and definitely for every participant coming on our event, I would highly recommend to join the LARP mission and try to feel that part of the game. This is quite unique. And the last question for this podcast is whether can I bring my own in-game vehicle? Yes, you can, absolutely. But in order to do so, and for us to make sure that we have right quality vehicles in game, you have to come on the Border War forum, where in your game section you shall apply registration of the vehicle. You will place there some pictures, and whether the vehicle fits in or have, let's say, at least some military look, it might get accepted without any problem. We are just making this procedure in order to make sure that the player vehicles are really looking like game vehicles, and we don't have yellow, red and blue cars driving around the forest. And of course we have to inform the owners about the amount of vehicles, and for that we have this registration procedure, which is fairly easy. Also, if you are planning to bring in the player vehicle, I would like you to have a look on the rules which are touching the vehicles, which you can find on our webpage, borderwar.cz, where you can download PDF in 4 different languages with the rules about the entire event, but as well there is a special section for the vehicles. So if you are considering joining our event, there are still tickets available. Check it out on borderwar.cz, section registration. You can find all needed information on our webpage, and if you are hesitating, don't hesitate to ask and send us your wishes on our email, and we will be happy to answer it on our next podcast.